For me, when I was approaching this question, because I'm an incredibly cheesy person, I was kind I wanted to turn away from the question of what's the relevance of classics in the wider world, because I mean, as my colleagues have perfectly demonstrated, it is still brilliantly relevant today, in like the wider context of the world. But it's also, for me, I feel like the more important question, especially because you guys are prospective students, is, I mean, surely it should be more relevant to you. So I'm just going to talk to you about how I perceive um, what classics has given me and how it's become relevant to my life and my experience. So, for me, the study of the ancient world is the study of civilization itself. Like we said before, it's looking at everything from art, architecture, literature, history, food, economy, all of it. You have to look at the very founding principles of what we call a civilization or a society. And from the macro to the micro, we are taught to actually investigate that, not just to acknowledge it, but we also have to question it. We can't just take it as a given truth. So, this is the idea. What is a society and how did it come to be? Exactly as my colleagues have put it forward so far. I would say that classics gives you this sense of perspective that helps you develop that more instinctual critical eye. The idea that no matter the context, you're still going to trust yourself in doubting something or trust yourself in questioning something. You're going to go above and beyond the context that you've been given to find the truth behind it. And I think that's an invaluable tool for life itself, to be honest, because it's what teaches you to think for yourself. And if that's not what university is about, I don't know what is. So that's probably one of the main parts of that relevance of classics for me. But in the really, really cheesy way, this is the kind of the thought that I've developed now over the past couple of years, is that we have become, as classicists or students of ancient history or students of classical civilization, all of it, just the students of that ancient world, we are kind of guardians of memory, and we're here to also guard culture and heritage. We need to be here to make sure that there are people who remember that these things once were, that these buildings belong to civilizations. There are entire cultures that, yes, have roots in the world of today, obviously. As Basma said, the ancient world is the cornerstone of the Western world today, obviously. But we need to remember that, because we need to remember where we're from. I mean, you can't know where to go, how to go forward, if you don't know where you've actually come from. And it's the idea of who we were before, how we truly changed, and the mistakes that we've made in the past, so that we're aware of what's happened and we can learn from that experience. Because, I mean, as Reece said, we haven't actually changed. In a lot of ways, we haven't actually changed that much. So it's a brilliant way to be able to look all the way back, and to gain that perspective, and therefore become that guardians of memory and culture and stuff like that. I mean, that's the fantastic thing about studying classics, is that it's so interdisciplinary that you can kind of make it what you want it to be, because there's an entire civilization, multiple civilizations that you can study. So why not just do it? And I would say that that is probably my answer to the question is answering with another question. I mean, why now? Why not? It's incredibly vast. You can make it your own degree. I mean, obviously, it requires passion, because, I mean, we are the ones who choose to remember. We are the ones who choose to investigate, and it's difficult. So, you know, obviously it requires passion, but any degree requires passion. So yeah, that's my answer to it. Instead of it being why now in the wider context of the world, it's for you, why not do it? Because you're already here, so you're already asking yourself about it. That means that you've already got that investigative spirit, and that means that you can then learn to develop that, learn to think for yourself, and have a lot of fun whilst you're doing it. Because let's be honest, we probably all read Percy Jackson at one point or another, and the mythology behind it got us all hooked. So yeah, I'd say do it because you love it, and because it's incredibly interesting, but also because it will actually teach you invaluable life skills. So yes, it's relevant today, but most importantly, it should be relevant to you. That's the idea.